And everyone, other than Paige, you can start on mute. Keep yourself on mute if you're not speaking. It just cuts down on background noise. That would be great. Thank you.
You ready
to go?
Ready for me to start? Okay, great. So welcome everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. I wanted to let you know that we do have live captioning, which is being provided for this webinar. And in general, we do provide accommodations for our programming. So if you need any accessibility options, please contact the Indiana Arts Commission office. My name is Paige Sharp, and I am the Deputy Director of Programs for the Indiana Arts Commission. I am a white woman in my early 50s with sandy blonde hair and some artwork in the background. And I am excited for you to meet some pretty fantastic professionals today as we start our series around creative arts and veterans. You'll meet and learn valuable information from creative arts therapist Leah Whitmire and Lisa Rainey, and Chief of Occupational Therapy Miranda Wellington with the Veterans Health Administration. If at any time throughout this presentation you have a question, please throw it in the comment box. We do have time at the end for a Q&A, and we'd love to answer your questions, so please feel free to share those in the comment box. So veterans are a valuable part of our state's community and make up nearly 10% of our entire population. On the state level, we're beginning to see an increased interest in serving veterans and the veteran community, but very few arts organizations and artists working in this space. So let's learn together. Through this webinar, we'll expand our understanding around how arts and veterans can come together in a variety of ways for meaningful impact. And today, we'll start to understand how to work with veterans effectively and what this all might look like. So the arts have a natural healing power, and we know our arts community wants to be part of the solution in making a real and valuable difference in people's lives. The arts can and do make a powerful difference in veterans' lives. So let's get started learning about creative arts therapy, what it is and why it's important. To kick off that conversation, let me welcome Leah Whitmire. Leah?
Thank you, Paige. It's nice to be here and be a part of this webinar. I am a white woman with short, light brown hair, and today I'm wearing a green blazer. I really like green. There's also a photo of me on this slide with a green background and an indigo colored shirt. I am a board certified music therapist. I work for Creative Forces and the Henry M. Jackson Foundation for the Advancement of Military Medicine in support of Creative Forces and the NEA Military Healing Arts Network. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Creative Forces. The NEA Military Healing Arts Network is an initiative of the National Endowment for the Arts in partnership with the U.S. Departments of Defense and Veterans Affairs that seeks to improve the health, wellness, and quality of life for military and veteran populations exposed to trauma, as well as their families and caregivers. Creative Forces is managed in partnership with the Americans for the Arts and the Henry M. Jackson Foundation for the Advancement of Military Medicine. So our program is a Creative Forces program here at the VA. As I said, I am a board certified music therapist, and I'd like to talk a little bit about music therapy. According to the American Music Therapy Association, music therapy is the clinical and evidence-based use of music interventions to accomplish individualized goals within a therapeutic relationship by a credentialed professional who's completed an approved music therapy program, clinical internship, and earned board certification as a music therapist. One of my good friends would say, music education helps people make good music, and music therapy helps make people good. So we use music for health goals. So here is a slide with a photo of actually a Creative Forces music therapist in Alaska, working with a veteran, maybe two veterans. One of the veterans is wearing camo. They're sitting in chairs, playing guitars, reading off of a music stand. And there's another person, a male, playing drum set behind them, electric drums. The veteran in camo is male, and the music therapist is a female, and they're all white. So that was a little picture, a little snapshot of some music therapy. So part of Creative Forces' aim is also to bridge the clinical with the community and to increase capacity. So on the clinical side, we have medical research, creative arts therapy, and telehealth services. On the community side, we work with state, regional, and local arts organizations and veterans networks. And then the capacity component is about providing training and education, as well as creating a digital resource center and medical research. And here you can see our National Resource Center, where you can explore Creative Forces, the Resource Center, to access tools that enhance the lives of trauma-exposed service members, veterans, their families, and caregivers through the arts. So click on the link, head to the National Resource Center, and check out all the amazing research and great tools that we have available there. And I'll pass it over to Lisa.
Hi everyone, my name is Lisa Rainey. I have a barking dog at home right now. I apologize. I am going to let them outside quickly. I apologize. The new pleasures of working from home. I am Lisa Rainey, art therapist at the Indianapolis Rodebush VA. I am a white woman, long blonde hair, and I've been a art therapist for over 10 years, have been at the VA for 11 months now. I am working through the Rural Veterans Telerehabilitation Initiative. And I'm not sure if we're going to the next slide. Yes, so this is a long quote, I apologize. But the art therapy is an integrative mental health and human service profession that enriches the lives of individuals, families, and communities through active art making, creative process, applied psychological theory, and human experience within a psychotherapeutic relationship. Art therapy is facilitated by a professional art therapist. It effectively supports personal and relational treatment goals as well as community concerns. Art therapy is used to improve cognitive and sensory motor functions. It fosters self-esteem and self-awareness, cultivates emotional resilience. It promotes insight, enhances social skills, reduces and resolves conflict and distress, and advances societal and ecological change. And this is, I think Leah and I were both going to talk about this one. So this is a treatment trajectory. I'll let Leah speak on the first one because it specifically talks about music therapy.
Sure. Thanks, Lisa. So we kind of have 3 stages of our treatment trajectory for creative arts therapies, which I think I forgot to mention. Creative arts therapy is the umbrella that music therapy, art therapy, dance therapy, drama therapy, and creative writing therapy all fall under. So when we say creative arts therapies, that could include any of those individual disciplines. So yes, the first stage of our treatment trajectory is the treatment planning and evaluation. So we identify in music therapy, musical preference, the use of music in their life, how are they using that, identify areas of musical interest, things they might want to learn or start doing with music, collaboratively create clinical goals, and determine musical goals. Lisa, do you want to take the next
Sure.
one?
And then in follow-up sessions, explore preferred genres. So that could be with music or art. So our patients may already be musicians or artists. So they may have preferred mediums. They may prefer certain musical instruments. They may prefer certain genres of music or certain they may have experience with certain artistic mediums. They may prefer painting versus drawing. They may prefer clay. They may prefer piano or guitar. So we definitely are patient-centered or veteran-centered. So we work together with them with their preferred medium to help us establish what kind of how we're going to move forward. I think that when they are using their preferred genre, there's going to be more buy-in than if we're making all the decisions for them. I think choice is definitely important. It reinforce weekly goals with them. So talking about what are their goals that they had determined at the beginning, with goals that they had determined with us at the beginning. Are we making progress? Are they having improvement in their daily life? Utilization of standardized symptom measurement tools. Then onto that third blue box. Leah, do you want to talk about that one?
Sure. Yeah. So after we've, reached the goals that we set out to accomplish in therapy, then we're going to sort of help them integrate into the community, integrate those daily living skills that we worked on using the creative arts, and then, discharge from our service. So we'll want to develop a continued plan for autonomous use of creative arts for wellness. How are you going to keep this going in your life? We can help them identify possible barriers and then solutions, which a lot of times will involve identifying community resources, technology and tools for success. So, they've done 8 or 12 weeks of creative arts therapy. They've really enjoyed starting either maybe painting or playing guitar, and then they want to continue that art engagement. And that's where the community arts organizations come into play, because we can refer them out to, an arts center or a music center and help them continue what they've learned as a valuable coping skill or leisure activity that's going to help maintain and improve their well-being. So kind of transitioning them out at discharge into something they can continue in the community as part of our treatment trajectory. And that's where we want all of you all to come in and help with that, keep the veterans engaged in arts. So we wanted to talk a little bit about that, about working with veterans, because as I said, we're hoping to, create some connections between our program and the community arts programs. So we wanted to talk a little bit about working with veterans, some things to keep in mind when working with this population. So I had sort of 3 pointers here to keep in mind. Language matters. So be mindful of the language that you use with veterans. Don't treat them like you would a normal, a person, any person. Like you wouldn't just go up to them and ask them about their, trauma or, hey, did you see combat? Just be mindful of the language that you use and just be respectful. Providing realistic timelines for the veterans. So, giving them enough time if you're going to change an event or cancel it, And also, don't cancel events if you can help it. So just kind of, providing a realistic timeline and expectation. And then also, create an environment that dispels stigmas. Create a welcoming space where people feel that they are respected and that they're not being stereotyped in some way.
Great, that was all really helpful. Thank you so much. So we wanted to ask you guys a few questions. Specifically, if each of you could both talk about the benefits. What are the benefits of working with veterans? You yourself, I'm sure, enjoy some sort of really like inspiration from this effort, but also what are the benefits to veterans? How are they benefiting from this therapeutic process?
Lisa, would you like to go first?
Yeah, Leah, why don't you kick us off?
Oh, okay, I can go first. So yeah, for me personally, I've really enjoyed working with the veterans. I've been here since September, and so I've really started to get to know this population, which is a very diverse population, as I think we might speak to later. But just getting to see the veterans learn to use music for their health in new ways, learn to tap into coping skills and relaxation and self-expression. It has been really beneficial for me. I just really enjoy being able to share that. And I feel like the veterans are a very willing group. They're willing to try things. They're willing to, experiment and explore. And so it's just really, I really enjoy working with them. They're very hardworking and just really cool people to know. So that's something that I really have enjoyed about getting to work with the veterans. And some of the benefits I've seen, in addition to what I just said about, yes, they are learning to use music in a more intentional way for self-care, coping and things like that. But also just really helping them tap into those outlets that maybe they were familiar with, but that they hadn't really dived into as deeply. Kind of, seeing the veterans really kind of like have an aha moment where they kind of recognize like, I've had this resource the whole time, but maybe I hadn't really been able to utilize it or this or that. So I think it just really helps them to have more empowerment, that there's more that they can do to tap into the healing arts and the creative arts. And so I just think that's a really big benefit to working with them, as a creative arts therapist or as an arts, more of arts education or community arts thing, is you're really giving them the tools to continue to heal themselves and, to achieve wellness through the arts. And that's, I think, a really big benefit to them.
Great, thank you. Lisa, did you have anything to add or something different?
Yes, I think when I think of veterans and the military population in general, I think of just, an overwhelming sense of pride. And well, for them, I think of them as a proud community. And maybe after leaving service, there may not be a lot of opportunities to continue having opportunities to have accomplishments and a sense of pride. And I think we can give them those opportunities to continue to create new things through music and art, to learn new things, to learn a new instrument, to learn new techniques in art, and to build self-esteem through art and music, to feel a sense of accomplishment that they may not have. They may not know. I have a veteran I've been seeing recently. She never painted until 2017, which was not that long ago. And she never knew that she had it in her. And she's amazed herself. And she's making these huge paintings. They're huge canvases. And she literally, until 2017, did not know that she had this inside of her. And it's a huge sense of pride for her now that she is, displaying these paintings in galleries, and her friends are buying them. And so I think it's an opportunity for them to continue. And I'm not a veteran, but when I think of military, I think of them as being a very proud group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really inspiring. And I've heard a few of those stories from veterans as well. Just the experience of never having done it before and then now selling their artwork and are grateful for that. And I know in talking to you guys, they're excited to continue when they graduate, from working with you all, to really continue and grow. And that's really exciting to hear. And then Leah, you mentioned earlier, and I know we wanted to expand upon that a little bit, and that is the diversity of the veterans. So Lisa, would you expound upon that, or one of you expound upon that? When we talk about veterans, what does that look like?
Yes, there's such a diverse population. Growing up as a white woman in Indiana, my only experience was that my white grandfather and uncles were in the military. So my experience was that it was just all white men in the military. Working now at the VA, I guess my eyes have really been opened that it's really very inclusive and very it's very diverse. Walking through the halls of the VA, I guess just the referrals that I have gotten have just been eye-opening, that the population I see and the referrals that I've gotten have been more diverse than I've ever gotten at any other facility that I've worked at. And I've been working in art therapy for almost 11 years now. So as far as racial population, LGBTQ populations, everything, I have just been really surprised that we see a little bit of everything, from religion, race, ethnicity, all over the board.
Great, thank you. So I appreciate that, ladies. Thank you so much for sharing. So next up, I want to introduce you guys to Miranda Wellington. And I call her she is the Chief of Occupational Therapy for the Veterans Health Administration, which is part of the United States Department of Veteran Affairs. So Miranda, if you could join us, that would be great.
Hi, yes, thank you for having me. As stated, my name is Miranda Wellington. I am an occupational therapist by trade, but I get the privilege of supervising Lisa and Leah. I am a white woman in my early 40s, and I have curly brown hair, and I'm currently sitting in my office. So like they've said, we've been offering art and music therapy over the past 6 to 9 months. The feedback that I get and the veterans that drop by my office to thank me for this service has been overwhelming. It's really great to hear. But as we realize that therapy is not forever, and we need our patients to continue their journey in the communities that they live in. The suicide statistics for veterans in 2017, it was found that the veteran population is 1.5 times higher than for the non-veteran population. Research shows us that a sense of connectedness, belonging, a sense of mission, purpose, social and emotional well-being, strong support systems, and engagement in community all decrease an individual's risk of suicidal thoughts or behavior. So part of our mission is to connect our veterans to the communities that they live in. We want to build positive, trustworthy working relationships with our community partners. It's important to realize that we're unable to provide manpower. What we're looking for is a warm handoff. So something that we can build upon the trust that we've built We can build upon the trust that we have with our veterans to then do a warm handoff to our community partners to connect them with the necessary resources to move forward. So we want to learn from you. What programs have you established? What would you like to establish? We've created a form, and I believe the link will be available for you either during the webinar or after for you to fill out. Please do that, as we are in the very early stages of exploring what's out there. We do realize that we cannot succeed without the community, and we want to expand our resources to promote meaningful and impactful programming for our veterans.
This is for Lisa.
Maybe Lisa got caught up with her dogs again.
Oh, no. No, sorry. I'm
Oh,
right
there
here.
she is. Okay, you can bring your video on. That would be fabulous. Thanks, Lisa.
It says the host has stopped my video.
Well, we will have one of our technical people to get that going.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
And you have the slide available for you?
Yes, now it says it's back on. Okay.
Great.
So not all veterans need mental health support. However, the statistics show that veterans have higher rates of suicide and mental health issues such as PTSD. How can you be prepared to support a veteran who experiences a mental health crisis during a creative experience? So we just want everyone to be prepared for the hopefully unlikely event that there may be a crisis, a mental health crisis situation during one of the creative experiences that you may have in the future. So what we are suggesting is that you post a handout of mental health support services at your organization where you will be holding the creative experience, and we will be providing this handout with a list of support services. We're suggesting that you in addition to posting the handout, that you first suggest that they contact a family member, close friend for support. And if it's beyond that, if they don't have a contact or if they don't have a family member close by in the relative area, Indianapolis, that you contact the crisis hotline, which that phone number will also be on the handout. It's the Veterans Crisis Line. The veteran most likely will be aware of it. We have that number posted all over the VA for veterans who are in a mental health crisis. And then boundaries. So boundaries are really important for both you as well as the veteran. So with all professionals working with veterans, it's important to establish and uphold boundaries to protect not only yourself, but the veteran and your organization. Boundaries are meant to ensure that relationships between yourselves and the veterans remain professional, even when working outside of the traditional healthcare setting. So it's important to respect your own time. Starting late or staying late are for extreme situations. Now, we know that you're going to be really excited about working with veterans. So it may be really tempting to stay late because they're not quite finished with the project, and you want to allow them that extra time, but just be mindful of your own time and your time with family, and making sure that you're maintaining that for your own self-care. So don't allow them to take advantage of your time. It's always important to communicate effectively. This is important. Keep your work contact numbers separate from your personal contact numbers so that you are not getting text messages or phone calls from veterans odd hours. Say no and mean it. This can be difficult, but it's an important skill in life. So say no to activities that take up too much time or energy. Say no to conversations that are inappropriately personal on either end. If you don't feel comfortable sharing information, it's okay not to engage in those types of conversations. And sorry, part of this, set expectations early and consistently.
Great, thank you, Lisa. That was really helpful. So we know that a lot of the folks on today's call are organizations or artists who are interested in working with veterans, and good for you. You should. It's a fabulous and important population, so yay. So we thought we would bring you some examples of just a few of what others are doing. So I just have 4 I'm going to share with you briefly. And the first one, turn my heat down. The first one is very clear on the slide. You can see it says Open Studio. So in Jacksonville, North Carolina, the Council for the Arts, they host a free weekly open art studio for not just service members and veterans, but their loved ones as well to participate if they wish to do so. That they just can come together from around 5 to 9 on a Wednesday evening and don't have to have any experience with arts. You can bring your own project if you want to, or follow the activity that's led by the artist that's there on site that has experience working with veterans and veterans' loved ones. So they can come together in a relaxed, creative atmosphere with others with some maybe shared experiences, and can learn new techniques and collaborate together. So it's a really, really cool program. The next one I wanted to tell you about is actually an organization called Art Spark in Texas. They do a lot of work with individuals in the disability community, but they also do a lot of work and have opportunities for veterans as well. They actually do, and you'll see on this slide, they have an image of the Distinguished Artist Veterans Annual Exhibition that they do. So any artist, any veteran artist in the state of Texas is welcome to be part of this annual exhibition and to share their artwork and inspire others. And they also host a variety of art classes. And interestingly, the art classes are also available to both current and past service members and their loved ones as well. As an example, because they do have a variety of different disciplines like percussion or visual arts, but they also had like an 8-week course designed to help the participants investigate and express themselves through the medium of narrative nonfiction. So sharing their own stories, which can be really powerful, particularly when sharing with others. Next up, when I thought about or learned about that writing program, it made me think of a program that's coming up here in Indiana starting in May. And on the slide, you can see there's a little drawing. It's a self-portrait by Kurt Vonnegut. So Kurt Vonnegut is a native Hoosier and one of the most important writers of our time. He was also a veteran, and his family has a rich history with Indiana parks. So starting with in this May, the Kurt Vonnegut Museum and Library, they're going to be partnering with Turkey Run State Park. And so on the slide, you can see this beautiful image of the park. I don't think you can take a bad image at Turkey Run State Park. They're also partnering at the Indiana Writers Center to offer a free series to veterans. Now, here's a really interesting part. The program is tailored for veterans who are looking for help figuring out what to do next with their life and using writing, nature, and each other to help make their dreams come alive. So writing experience isn't necessary for this program that'll meet in the park one Saturday a month for about 6 months. Veterans can register to come one time, or they can go to all of the sessions which meet on those Saturdays if they wish. It's whatever they want to do for them. So if you're wondering where this idea came from, you can thank Julia Whitehead, who's the Vonnegut Museum's director, and she's also a former Marine. So the idea was inspired not just by Vonnegut, but from her own personal life experience. So we know that the arts can be really healing, but in this natural, amazing environment in the park, I can't imagine that would be definitely some magic and very inspiring. So if you're curious to learn more, you can email info@vonnegutlibrary.org. There is going to be a limit of 20 participants for this free program. But I'm sure it will prove to be very transformative. So I'm looking forward to learning more about that. So next up, the Indianapolis Arts Center, they are amazing, and they have been doing a program, Veterans Art Day event each year, and it has just continued to grow and grow in attendance and popularity, and the veteran community loves it. So they really saw with this growth an opportunity to maybe provide increased opportunities and programming for veterans. So what better thing to do than to ask the veterans themselves, what do you want? What are you interested in? And then they also had a focus group, and the message was clear. The veterans were seeking out more opportunities to engage with their own community through the arts, more than just the one day a year. And so the Art Center developed a program called Art Troupe. And in this free bi-monthly, which is 2 times a month, veterans and active military service members have come together, and they make art together in this, again, stress-free atmosphere with a artist that leads the activities and has experience doing that, a variety of activities, and really starts to develop an amazing community with their peers of about 16. You know this is going really well when veterans are giving up 2 Saturdays of their month. 2 of them drive over an hour to get there to be with one another. 6 of them drive over 20 minutes to be there on a Saturday to come together and create art, camaraderie, and support one another. They actually are getting help from each other on how to improve their own artwork, which is really cool. So it's engaging, it's meaningful, and people feel really connected. So it's a really, really strong program. So those are just a few of the ideas that we wanted to share with you today. I could sum it up though. In addition to these awesome programs, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You could adapt some of these wheels into your own wheelhouse. So, or you can do something simple, like just expanding your mailing list to include veteran groups so that they know that you're offering cool stuff that they might be interested in. You could offer free admission to some of your opportunities or programs. Rather than creating a whole new program, although we'd love to see you do that as well. And at the end of the day, we would just love to see veterans engaging with the arts and more arts engaging with veterans. So we had, I guess me, mentioned earlier that we wanted you to put any questions into the question box. And we would happy to answer any of those questions at time. And we don't have any yet, which is fine, because I had some questions of Lisa and Leah as anyway. So if you guys wouldn't mind popping on. So you work with veterans all the time, and you have some, like graduating out of your work. Are they wanting to get connected? How can they get connected? What are some of the things that you tell them?
Yeah, I think the veterans that are graduating, at least from music therapy, are interested in continuing for instance, maybe a veteran has been playing an instrument like guitar or banjo or keyboard. And like my hope would be for those interested in continuing to play that instrument and develop more skills at it, that, you know, there might be some lesson studios that, you know, I could really support them going to. So just kind of connecting with educators that might be able to help continue to support the veterans. Did you mean like what kind of resources are we looking for, or how would they connect with us? How do we connect with them? Mm-hmm.
How do they connect with the arts in their own community? Are you encourage them to reach out to organizations or artists, or?
Yeah, I'd say I'm personally feel like I'm still sort of developing that piece, and hoping to learn more, you know, from these webinars and connecting with the organizations. But I think for me, I do encourage it, you know, encouraging them to seek lessons or attend events, musical events, which we all know has been difficult during COVID. But that is something that I encourage, and the music therapy program's only been going for a few months, so we haven't had too many graduates yet, but it is something that I'm continuing to think over and develop and figure out the process for. I don't know if Lisa has anything different to say.
I'm sorry, I'm still figuring out that as well, as far as when they graduate from art therapy and move on, where they, you know, they aren't finished making art, and they, I don't really at this point have a lot of places to send them. What I've been encouraging them to do so far is to look at the art classes that the Indianapolis Art Center offers and to apply for scholarships. And then in addition to filling out the application for the scholarship, I write a short paragraph, a recommendation as to why I believe they should be considered for a scholarship. But every semester, there's only so much scholarship money before it runs out. So they can only take so many veterans, because the veterans aren't the only adults that are applying for these scholarship opportunities. So I think that it would be nice if there were other classes in the area that they could go to, because I think that they enjoy that supportive environment where it's not just an open art studio for them, but there's an instructor, if they had questions about technique, that they would appreciate that supportive environment. Some of them probably would enjoy a creative open studio. Some of them feel accomplished. If there was, you know, a woodworking studio that they could have access to, or a maker space that was available, that would be really nice going forward.
That's good. So I hope organizations, you out there, perked up your ears. Scholarships, a great way to get veterans involved in some of the existing programs that you may have. So that's something to really consider, particularly since you can make such a meaningful impact in people's lives. That's a big deal to our field. That's why we're in it. We're not in it for the money, right? We're in it to make the meaning, and we're making meaning all the time. So I hope they're inspired to work more with veterans. But also guilds. Guilds are a great way to bring a cohort of group from the community together. We did have a question come in though, and one, thanks everybody, really appreciates the information that we're providing today. And Greg wanted to know about any advances taking place in Indiana in terms of telemedicine and creative therapies. So Leah, you want to talk about that? Or maybe Miranda, because I know Miranda, you're kind of run the telehealth sort of program, but Leah, why don't you get us started?
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah, we are a part of the Rural Veterans Telerehabilitation Initiative, RVTRI. So we are very much a part of that. And that's part of our focus to expand into the rural areas, serving veterans that aren't as able to come. For instance, I think, you know, they might not be able to come to the clinic, so we want to reach them. And I think we're learning as we go, using the creative arts over telehealth. I don't know, Lisa, if you want to speak to it as well, but it's very exciting to be a part of that. I know there's research coming out on the creative forces side and all around with how that's going. So it's coming, and I feel like we're a part of it. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I had never provided art therapy through telehealth in the 10 years prior to joining the VA. And that's primarily what Leah and I are doing now, is telehealth. So it's been interesting to learn. And but yeah, that's the majority of what Leah and I are doing, is telehealth. Yeah.
Good, which is great, because it's really providing access for veterans, and that is so valuable. I think when I was talking to somebody that was with Creative Forces and on the national level, and they were talking about how they were trying to find an instrument. The veteran was in like a mobile home park, and so they had kind of like this club area, and they had a piano there. So the like community helped rally around him to get access to that piano on a certain day a month, and they loved it. Like, it became like a thing in that area. But it also punctuates the incredible importance, I think, also, as your work continues to expand and brings in more veterans around the state, that they then are able to connect to the arts that are available within their community to help deepen the connection with the community, which is so powerful and really providing that lifelong healing for any of us, really, right? Arts can be a really important part of our everyday life. We also got another comment or question from an art therapist at Eskenazi Museum, which you're probably familiar with, Lisa. It's Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
She's interested in reaching rural veterans specifically. Do you notice more of your clients being from rural areas in the state?
I think
do we notice that, Leah?
I was going to say we're expanding to that. I think that's part of our program goal. So I think initially, as we started within the hospital here in Indianapolis, we've networked and made connections with other providers. I think we've gotten urban, but also it's starting to expand, I think, as we make more connections with the community outpatient clinics. And just as the word spreads around, I think it's becoming more rural. I don't know what you would say, Lisa.
I agree. I think we had a recent meeting with a community-based outpatient clinic, and Lauren, I actually owe you an email to connect you with somebody in Bloomington. I'll get on that.
Yeah, and I know you guys are, you kind of relatively started this not too long ago, right? When did you start this?
I started in April last year, so coming up on a year.
Oh, okay. And Leah, when did you
started in September.
Okay. Yeah, so you're starting to gain some momentum and expand, and and then we'll start to see more rural folks maybe coming into the queue. And I know
Our
that
goal is 50% rural.
How much?
50% rural is our goal.
Fantastic. Well, maybe that's another way that we can combine forces to help provide increased access or connections for you all. Well, we don't have any more questions, and I don't want to keep people on if we don't need to, but I do want to thank all of our guests here today. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your passion for working with veterans. I'm hoping it was very infectious. Reminder, those of you who've been with us today will be sharing a follow-up email, and that will have a link to that form that I hope you'll complete so we can start getting to know who you are. They can start getting to know who you are. and what you might be doing and your interest in working with veterans. And also, because this is a series, our next webinar is going to be on April 14th at 10 a.m. And we are going to provide next steps and tips for getting started to work with the veteran community. So we look forward to having you back. Thank you so much all for coming. Thank you all for joining us today and sharing your expertise. We deeply appreciate it. Thank you.